Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Ameena Mustafa, and I am a registered practical nurse. I am so grateful to be here today as a youth mentor and to be making a short speech about a unique specialty in the healthcare field in Ontario. For over a year now, I have been working in a pediatric hospice in Toronto. For those who are unfamiliar with the term hospice, this is a term to describe end-of-life care. The hospice that I work in aims to provide quality care to children aged newborn up until 18 years old who suffer from life-limiting illnesses. Some examples of the primary diagnoses that I see at work include different types of cancers and genetic disorders. I see complex and rare illnesses every day and strive to improve quality of life for my patients and their families. When parents and patients choose end-of-life care, this means that they have a very slim chance of survival, and any medical treatments that attempt to cure their disease or illness can pose a severe threat to their health or have already been exhausted throughout their lives. Hospice care is an alternative to these types of treatments and focuses on comfort and pain alleviation when patients are reaching the end of their lives. Majority of dying adults prefer to be at home when they're at the end of their lives. And while families of dying children feel the same way, they quite often need additional medical and psychosocial supports due to the complexity of their cases. Hospice care can be quite difficult in the sense that there are usually additional interventions in place, such as artificial feedings and medication regimens that may preserve their life. It is very difficult for families to accept this stage in their child's medical journey, and letting go of these life-preserving interventions can definitely take time. Healthcare providers ensure to follow our patients' cues for hunger and pain management. It is important to note that these life-preserving interventions can quite often cause harm to the patients. For example, when children have weak abdominal muscles or weak chest muscles or poor circulation due to their illness progression, artificial feeding poses a risk for aspiration or choking as their muscles are weaker. If their stomachs are not tolerating food, they may throw up and fluid can enter their lungs, causing pneumonia. This is a case that I see happen quite often with children at the end of their lives. These children may also be on medications that have adverse effects every time they take it, such as nausea, vomiting, headache, and dizziness. There is no single trajectory for death when it comes to life-limiting illnesses in children, as their bodies are working harder to preserve their life compared to adults. This makes it more complex to care for these children. However, I am fortunate in that it has taught me many valuable lessons as a young Muslimah. Today, I want to talk about the importance of creating a culture of care, kindness, and compassion in our homes while relating this subject to my working experience in hospice care. In Islam, there's a very strong emphasis on the value of human life and the importance of treating others with kindness and respect. This includes providing care and support to those who are ill or nearing the end of their lives. Hospice care aligns with these principles by offering a holistic approach to end-of-life care, focusing on pain management, emotional support, and spiritual well-being. When we think about starting a family, it's very easy to talk about being kind, being caring, and respectful without thinking about the potential hardships that we may encounter down the road. I'm sure many, if not all of us, understand and have felt the struggle of keeping a calm demeanor in front of children and our loved ones in difficult times. Through my work, I have seen firsthand the necessity of reminding ourselves to stay especially calm and show empathy in these situations. Working in a pediatric hospice has taught me that our words carry a heavy weight in sensitive times, and that effective communication is incredibly important in creating a culture of care. There have been times in my role where healthcare providers, including myself and family members of patients, have said things that we might think are consoling, but families and patients actually take it in an offensive way. For example, something as simple as, "I hope things will get better," or "everything will be okay," might sound consoling to me and you, but to someone who's going through the hardest moment in their life, it can be a redundant statement and serves no purpose. I learned that instead, a good alternative to these common statements would be expressing your support for them by saying, "I'm here for you," or validating their emotions and experiences. By creating an atmosphere of understanding and open communication, it becomes easier to provide the necessary support to our loved ones. Islam teaches us the importance of family involvement and support. In hospice, involving family members in the care process helps create unity and comfort for patients. I once had a patient who was nonverbal, who was unable to move or walk, and who had deteriorated severely due to their condition. But they smiled for the first time while being held by their mother while she was saying, "I love you." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 263, to speak a kind word and to forgive people's faults is better than charity followed by hurt, and Allah is self-sufficient, forbearing. This verse reiterates the importance of making kindness our priority, rather than choosing to be hurtful when in an emotional state and then asking for forgiveness later on. We also must remember that there might not even be a later time for us to ask for forgiveness, as this world is temporary and our lives can be cut short at any moment. We must embrace Islamic values and teachings in our family life in order to guide one another and to show support. Islam encourages acts of service as a way to show compassion towards others. In hospice care, healthcare providers work alongside with family members in order to make life easier and as enjoyable as possible for these patients. We strive to make the environment home-like and fun so that they can take their mind off of any pain or discomfort they might be feeling. This reminds me of one of my patients who loves to build houses and creations made out of paper with all of our staff and volunteers. Unfortunately, this patient had no use of their hands or arms, so every day the staff and volunteers would come together to create a new creation with random items we found in the facility. The patient's room was filled from top to bottom with these creations, but I've never seen him as happy as he was after seeing what we had made him. Now, I just realized the slideshow isn't working. I don't know what's happening. Sorry, 1 second. I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, so I'm on the completely wrong slide before, but this is the slide I'm supposed to be on. This is an example of one of the creations we made at work. It was made out of random items such as like hand sanitizers and cereal boxes. And even though this is such a small moment in a normal child's life, creating something new, we must be mindful that these children don't get these opportunities every day. And many of these children don't have any use of their limbs. So this is a very special moment, and it can make or break their living experience. Pediatric hospice recognizes the importance of play and recreation in a child's life. Creating experiences that bring moments of happiness and normalcy to a child's life is really what shapes the end-of-life process. Pediatric hospice is not about giving up hope, but it's about embracing the present moment. Catering to the needs of those who are sick or disabled is greatly rewarded in Islam. We must remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves al-muhsinun, or the good doers. Something important to remember is that we are our children and spouses' greatest advocates when they are ill. If you think about the last time you had a really bad cold or flu, I'm sure you can remember how difficult it was to get out of bed or to even carry on a basic conversation with someone. Having someone who knows you and your needs is a luxury that a lot of people don't have. We must practice empathy in order to advocate for our loved ones and to get them the care that they deserve when they are faced with medical difficulties. We need to practice being observant and mindful of our loved ones, even when they are well, just so that if they are faced with any health issues, we'll be able to recognize and report these changes immediately. I think all mothers and fathers know the importance of this, as we know our children are not able to voice their concerns or struggles the way adults can. We must be mindful of this when thinking of starting a family, as we know that we will be our children's greatest advocates for a large portion of their lives. I understand as a young adult how busy life can be and the difficulty in juggling responsibilities, but my work in hospice care has reminded me of the importance in being present in our loved ones' lives, especially when they're going through hard times. In hospice care, I have watched children who haven't been in their home for months enter a state of depression because their family is too busy to visit them. We must be mindful that a healthy, normal daily routine creates a safe space for us and our children and allows for structure in our lives. Now imagine one day that safe space just disappears, never to be returned. During this time, we need our support system to create a safe space in our lives once again. Without it, our mental state becomes fragile and unstable. Just the other day, I had a patient who was of toddler age and who had not been home in over 50 days and had not seen their grandparents in over 50 days due to being in strict isolation after a failed surgery. His mother expressed her concern that he has developed mistrust and severe anxiety due to seeing strangers every day at the hospital and by being poked and prodded by medical devices. His grandfather was finally able to visit him once he moved into our facility, and his mother and I were able to witness her son laugh for the first time in months after being held by his grandfather. This should be a reminder to every one of us that being supportive and regularly physically present in our loved ones' lives can alter their living experience and allows our loved ones to feel dignity towards the end of their lives. Now, I want to briefly speak about the belief in Tawheed, or the oneness of Allah. The belief in Tawheed allows us to be humbled as human beings and understand that everything on this earth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that we will return to Him one day. I have seen this firsthand and felt that this belief has given me perspective and peace to the lives of those who've lost their loved ones. If we let go of this belief, we will live in total and constant despair when experiencing loss or death. I have seen families struggle and separate from one another when experiencing child loss or illness because they live in a constant state of anxiety and denial. Tawheed allows us to be courageous and strong for our family and loved ones as we surrender ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and go into hardship without constant fear. Alhamdulillah, I have been able to embrace hospice care as a nurse. This is a very unconventional and difficult route for young nurses like me, but incorporating my Islamic beliefs into the care that I provide allows me to honor the value of my patients' lives and show empathy towards those in their final journey. I feel that I am able to fulfill my religious duty of serving others, especially during times of vulnerability. I encourage everyone here to fulfill their own religious duties and remember to be present in their families' lives and to show compassion to those who are struggling. Ultimately, pediatric hospice is about providing support, comfort, and dignity to children and their families during one of life's most difficult journeys. When it comes to Islam, hospice care aligns with the principles of compassion, mercy, and dignity that are deeply rooted in our faith. By embracing the values of Islam and the principles of hospice care, we can ensure that every person receives compassion and kindness in their lives. I urge everyone here to do some more research on this topic and volunteer at your local hospice if you do have one in your area. Also, please remember to cherish the moments that you have with your children and your loved ones, and ensure to create new experiences that your children can tell their children about in the future. Jazakallah for your time and attention, and I hope that I've been able to remind even some of you the importance of compassion towards your loved ones and families. Assalamu alaikum.